Bartok. I mean, how many people are listening to Bela Bartok?
You spent your life.
It's significant, though.
Playing music and all sorts of genres, but with bluegrass specifically. Now that you had this lifetime playing that music, what does it mean to you nowadays?
Well, it's a challenge, It's I appreciate a lot of things about that music and have learned a lot about it, and this is the way I can have fun applying that knowledge, I also have my own, written a lot of music and have another band that I developed that with, and I like bluegrass so much that I try to leave it alone as much as possible and just try and, that's why I have this band. I wouldn't have my other band playing bluegrass because A, there's no banjo player in it, B, they don't sing, C, I could, somebody could call that bluegrass.
Herman makes a ridiculous face when he plays bluegrass.
But, I just enjoy it, I'm not, there's too many crazy things going on in the world for me or anybody else to worry about bluegrass.
Agreed.
I'm worried about much more serious things.
Of course.
Like nuclear war and the fact that a maniac is in charge of this country.
But you also have a platform of music that is aimed to bring
That's
people together.
That's my escape. Yeah. Hey, and people for some reason hire us to play for them. I got interested in the music. I never really thought about having a career as an entertainer, quote unquote.
But you also have a platform to create something that is bigger than yourself that impacts people.
Yeah, well, I just try to, I can get gigs. I like playing. I just like rehearsing. I like working on music. I don't necessarily need an audience. I do to make a living, and that turns out to be, the significant way I make a living. But I didn't really come into it. I just wanted to learn how to play the mandolin, I guess, and I really flipped out over bluegrass music, and that was fun to play with other folks. I like playing with good musicians. Well, in any style. There's a lot of styles I just have to listen to because I'm not, I can't. I respect styles. It's one thing to have technique and musical talent on an instrument, and then there's a whole other thing that's styles.
Yeah.
And the way you learn a style is to actually play with great practitioners of that style. Like I was fortunate enough to play with Red Allen and Del McCurry and Clarence White, a lot of really great musicians, Doc Watson and even Bill Monroe and Earl Scruggs a little bit and Ralph Stanley a little bit and this, and I got a chance to kind of try to play that music. I also got a chance to try to play jazz with people like Stephen Grappelli and Ray Brown and, great practitioners.
What did you learn from those guys that might have surprised you?
Well,
because one thing to listen to and it's another thing to meet those people. And
yeah, well, you can't ignore the human element, The music is one thing, but just the personalities and to see how they approached everything, there's something to be learned, I might have learned a song or, just a lot of insight into, to be honest, you have to teach, you have to do the work no matter what you're doing, You have to go to the woodshed. Frank Wakefield taught me basically how to learn stuff off of records or how to he didn't write it out, but how to transcribe a Bill Monroe solo.
Well,
how to learn to play like Bill Monroe by listening to the record.
Yeah.
And I transmitted that sort of to Andy Statman.
I remember Bobby Osborne told me one time, he goes, Well, Garrett, if you can't play, get off the damn stage. But
Well, we'd all be
you
off
can't-
the
well,
stage
but-
at
but
some point.
it-
yeah.
But we were saying before, I was talking to
Yeah.
Billy about it earlier, was
Yeah.
bluegrass is that one music where you can't hide behind anything. You're vulnerable because,
Well, yeah, you got 4 other guys to hide behind.
well, like I had said too, Raymond Fairchild had said that it's like a team of horses. You know, if one falls.
Solo classical guitar.
It's all true,
Now,
yeah.
there's
So
some
now a
music
solo,
you can't
yeah,
hide.
solo is some place where you can't hide.
Yeah.
As soon as you got somebody else, you got little crevices that you can, you know. I mean, you know, we all have our ups and downs. I mean, some musicians are, are really great technically and never seem to make mistakes. And you
Well,
know.
my last question is:
Yeah.
you've spent a life performing and creating, traveling, meeting people. What has that taught you about what it means to be a human being?
Well, I kind of like the golden rule, you know. Basically,
Yeah, it's a great
And-
philosophy.
And then there's the there's the Doggian, permutation of the golden rule, which
Yeah.
is do it to them before they do it to
well, I really
you.
appreciate.
No, I don't know. I could look at. In a sense, humanity is a disappointment, and in another sense,
That's the
it's very
misanthropic
inspirational.
take. Yeah.
It just depends. It's just like there's good and bad. There's people
Yeah.
you know that you learn how not to be,
Yeah.
even though they might be a great musician, a great this, a great that. They fall down as a human being. You know.
Yeah.
So it's it's great if you can get it all in one. Have a great musician, be a great guy, and a very I think just an act. Just to treat people fairly and even kindly.
Yeah.
Or and then you can see people that don't. I mean, there's as I'm sure you could in any endeavor.
Agreed.
But I just think if you're gonna start getting specific about music, you have to really go in deep. You can't just say it.
It can't be a surface level thing.
Yeah, it can't be a tweet. Music is like, encyclopedic. There's a lot of aspects to music. There's a lot of aspects to just bluegrass. And then within the context of, it's all, organizing sound. But, the other thing about it is it's acoustic.
Yeah.
And I like acoustic music. I like the sound of an instrument that somebody made, that this guy is going to get a different sound out of that same instrument than the next guy.
Yeah.
And that's what really is great for me, really great. And that's where a lot of other contemporary styles, they play electric instruments or amplify acoustic instruments, and a lot of that stuff goes away for me.
Yeah.
Just because I think that kind of, the reason that exists is because the quest for volume. And unfortunately, audiences compound that by being real noisy.
Yeah.
As soon as somebody's a loud rock band, everybody's it's just a lot of noise. To me, I'd rather sit and listen to something and really appreciate every nuance of
Do
it.
you think that's a lost art?
Listening?
Yeah.
I think listening is a lost art, but not for some people.
Yeah.
Not for, but I think that, the more you put into something, the more you get out.
Of course, agreed.
And that includes listening. I think listening is the unsung hero of music.
I agree.
I think if more people listen, even when they're playing, listen to the other, listen to what's happening. A lot of musicians, all they, crank me up. That's all that, and they're not really relating to,
Yeah.
onward and upward.